My name is Rafael, you're watching Cracklin Rose, and today I'm going to show you 3 hit songs by other artists that were actually written by Neil Diamond. But first, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave your comment. Well, if you don't know Neil Diamond that much, you're probably going to be surprised by these 3 songs I'm going to show you. And the first one is I'm a Believer. That's right. If you don't know that, I think it's like a mind-blowing moment because this is a song that was made famous by the Monkees, still in the 60s, with their drummer on vocals, Mickey Dolenz, and it became their biggest hit. It was a huge hit at the time. When they recorded the track, it was a #1 hit all over the world, and it sold, the single sold an estimated amount of more than 10 million copies worldwide. And at the time, Neil Diamond was was an aspiring musician, let's say. His records weren't really selling a good amount of copies, and he, as he recalled in an interview with Mojo magazine, where he explained why he gave the song to the Monkees. He said he needed the money, and he was happy to give the song to them because it was a song that was going to be heard by many more people than if he had released. And he made a deal at the time that he could record his version of the song later on, and he ended up releasing his song 1 year later because the Monkees released the track in 1966. And one year later, in 1967, Neil Diamond ended up putting his own version out, which was part of his second album called Just For You. But he failed to repeat the success of the Monkees version and peaked at number 51 on the Billboard Hot 100, for example. In an interview with Mojo magazine in 2008, he recalled and explained why he gave the song to the Monkees. This is what he said. I was thrilled to give the song to them. The head of my record company freaked. He went through the roof because he felt that I had given #1 records away to another group. I couldn't have cared less because I had to pay the rent. The Monkees were selling records and I wasn't being paid for my records. And as you know, curiously, it became a huge hit later on, a few decades later, more precisely in 2001, when the pop rock American band Smash Mouth did a wonderful cover inspired by the Monkees version of the song, which was part of the soundtrack for the blockbuster movie, animation movie Shrek, which is certainly one of the most successful animation movies from the past 2 decades, and became a huge hit, which became to be presented to younger generations, right? Many people nowadays, people who were born maybe during the last 20 years, might think it's actually a Smash Mouth song, and many people might think it's the Monkees song, but it's actually a Neil Diamond song. And the second one, which is quite surprising if you don't know much about Neil Diamond, it's Girl, You'll Be a Woman Soon. That's right, the track that was probably made more famous with Pulp Fiction, right? That track, the version used in Pulp Fiction was the Urge Overkill version for it, which is wonderful as well. And it appears on a very famous track where Uma Thurman's character dances and etc. And it became one of those classic songs from the movie. And curiously, Neil Diamond at first didn't want to allow his song to be in the movie because he didn't want any of his songs to movies related with violence or drug abuse and etc. However, the people around him managed to convince him that it was a good idea. He released originally that track in 1967, also on the album Just For You, where he featured his version for I'm a Believer. At the time, the track peaked at number 10 on the United States Billboard Pop Singles. And at the time, even the famous British musician Cliff Richard covered the track. 1 year later, he covered the track in 1968. But the major resurgence really happened in 1994 when the song was featured. The Urge Overkill version was featured in Pulp Fiction. Probably the greatest Quentin Tarantino movie of all time. At least I can't really know I don't know someone who would say another one of his movies is better than Pulp Fiction. And Diamond explained that in the late 60s, why he wrote this song, it was because in the late 60s, most of his audience was composed by young girls, teenagers. So he wrote that track thinking about their perspective, that they would become a woman pretty soon, and etc. So that's from where the idea for the song comes from. And the third one, which was a really big hit by other artists, which was Red Wine, which became a huge hit when the British reggae band UB40 covered the track. And it's interesting that this song was also released on Neil Diamond's second album, Just For You. So these three incredible songs that I mentioned it here, all three of them were from that record. I mean, it's just mind-blowing, just from that record. And at the time, the original version by Neil Diamond peaked at number 62 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States. But in 1983, UB40 covered the track, which was released as a single and also featured on their fourth studio album called Labor of Love in 1983. And curiously, the band didn't know it was a Neil Diamond song. They first became aware of the track from the version made by a reggae musician called Tony Tribe. So they decided to cover the track. They covered the track, they recorded the track, it was finished. So they went to research and see who was the songwriter to, ask for the permission and etc. And they were really surprised to find out it was actually Neil Diamond who wrote the song. And it's interesting because this UB40 version became their signature song, let's say, is their biggest hit. And it was a number one hit in many countries like Canada, Ireland, Netherlands, New Zealand, South Africa, United Kingdom, and United States. In the UK, for example, the single sold an estimated amount of more than 1.2 million copies. So, they took this Neil Diamond kind of forgotten song and transformed it into a number one hit all over the world. And this is it. I think it's quite interesting if you don't know that much about Neil. And he's such an underrated artist, in my opinion. Probably one of the greatest American artists of all time. Such a prolific songwriter, such an influential songwriter. And I think he should be up there with Bob Dylan and all of those incredible songwriters from the United States. If you want to read more, don't forget, go to the description, visit the article we wrote about it. You can hear all the songs, all the versions there. And don't forget to subscribe, leave your comment, tell me if you knew about this or not, and let's talk about it. Thank you for watching, and I see you later.